Hey everyone, this is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist. I'm coming to you here from a corner of where we package some of my paintings. And I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to make this video to talk to you, to artists or creative types, about again. I create this video sort of journal my journey, right? My personal journey as a fine art painter and an entrepreneur, and moving ahead and moving along, and recording the things that are working for me, are not working for me, things that I have to develop as a human being, as an artist, and just kind of the challenges, if you would, of the things that I encounter along the way as an artist. First, most as a human being, but second as an artist. So I want to talk to you today about this, what I believe is the single most important thing to have if you are working towards something, whether you're a musician, you're a photographer, you're a painter, like me, anything that you do, any type of creative work that you do. I believe that you have to have this single thing. Everybody sort of talks about it in variations of it. When I was growing up as an artist, talk to family members or friends or whatever, people that knew me, relatives, they would tell me, "Oh, that's great. You have to go at it, and you have to be, you just got to give it your best." People find the words that could best describe what the intention, what they're trying to say, and everything just kind of felt sort of I don't know, kind of like foggy for me. I didn't come from a family of like very strong, go-getters like many other families, or I don't know, some other families. I didn't come from a family that I could model and say, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." My brother was the CEO of such and such, or my other, my sister or my brother was this famous athlete, and I'm gonna model that. I'm like most people in the world. I have to kind of just find it in my own way, right? I have to kind of figure it out on my own, and look for mentors and read a lot. A hell lot of trial and error, more error than trial, unfortunately. I wish it was the other way. I wish there was more trial then, or more trial, or the same amount of trial and error. But I'll talk about in another video about that. You want to have more trial, so that you could have at least the same amount of error. More trial is pull those triggers more. But anyways, getting back to this video. So I had to kind of figure it out my own way, right? I couldn't really model other artists because I didn't know how to go about it. Not that I couldn't. It's not right to say that. I just didn't know how to go about it. I thought, I didn't like what I was seeing from other artists. I didn't like the way that they were pursuing their careers, and I thought another thing is I thought I knew it all, and that was a big mistake. But we're learning, we're growing, and. But anyways, people would tell me, you know what, you have to give it your best. You have to give it your all. If that's going to be your career, that's going to be your business, you have to just go all in, or different variations of that. Well, I understood what it was to work hard. I've always understood what it was. I have a very, I believe that I have a very strong work ethic. That I saw in my family. That I did see. I saw, my especially my mom. I saw the tremendous amount of work ethic that she delivered in her household, and I saw also my older siblings having a very strong work ethic. However, as time went by, I didn't realize why I was having such peaks and valleys. And those of you who are running businesses, or even if you're a trainer or any type of career, whatever you're doing, you will encounter what many people call peaks and valleys. some sales experts or success experts call it the 90-day phenomenon. I know one of them, Grant Cardone, calls it that. I've heard it from other people, different variations. But anyways, the whole thing is that sometimes when people go into a job or into a new thing, they're just winning, for like 3 months or whatever, like 90 days, right? They're winning. And it's because ignorance is a bliss, right? They don't know certain things, so they're just giving it their best. And that's, I mean, that's the formula, right? That's really what you're supposed to do. Then people think that they start getting smarter, and then they start tweaking, but completely tweaking too much to the point where they're not exerting that energy anymore. Now they're careful. They're trying to cherry pick, as they say. Anyways, going back again, I'm sort of giving you guys I believe I'm giving you a preparation, I guess, for this, a platform for this, for what I'm trying to say. And when it comes to that, when it comes to working, this happens a lot of the times. You have this peaks and valleys, or you have the 90-day phenomena where people give it their best for 3 months, and then something happens. They get smart, or they get afraid, or whatever happens. What happened to me was very similar, of course. But what continued to happen over the years was something that I couldn't put my finger on. I can just put my finger on it. What is it? What is that one thing? Why is it that I work so hard, and then I have this peaks and valleys, or I have this moments where I am exhausted and then overrested, and kind of like this unbalanced thing going on. And I used to think that it was A, B, and C. I used to think that it was outside of me. That's really what I started coming up with a million, not 1,000, a million excuses as to why. It had to do with economy. It had to do with this. It had to do with I was doing things the wrong way. I was doing all of these excuses, just piling and piling excuses because I wasn't being honest with myself. And the reason I believe I wasn't being honest with myself was because I couldn't see it. It's almost like I don't know how to explain it, but it's something you can't see. You're not aware. I know Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about that. If you guys don't follow Gary Vaynerchuk, you guys have to go check out what his books, and very, very smart, very strong individual. And he talks about that, right? The self-awareness. You have to have this. He talks a lot about DNA and self-awareness and this kind of thing. But I agree with him 1,000%. You have to have this self-awareness. But this self-awareness, I believe it comes either through two things, without trying to get too philosophical. Either it's given to you, maybe by a mentor or a family, or you kind of follow certain patterns, or you get to it through a lot of pain. And I think most of us get it through a lot of pain. So what I realized that happens is, and I saw it in other artists, I just couldn't see it in me. I saw it in other people, I couldn't see it in me. Because I was feeling like, oh, I'm running harder and faster than everyone else, so I can't really see it in me. All I can see is the ones that are not at my level, of execution or whatever. So what I've come to realize is, after preparing this whole thing, I'm going to tell you what it is. The one thing I believe that makes you or breaks you is the ability. It's not even an ability. It is the discipline. I know, before you log off and you say, oh man, you prepare this whole thing just to say, just talk about. Hear me out. Before you turn this thing off. Most of us work very hard. Most of us want it very much. But what I've noticed that happens to most of us is a variation of two things. Either you start out really hard and then diffuse, your fire goes out, or you start out really hard, fire goes out, and then do it again, fire goes out, do it again, fire goes out, and that's where you have peaks and valleys. And the ability to be really hard, see, what most people would tell you is oh, it's because your activity is too high that you drain yourself. That's not true. I don't believe that's true. That's what most people tell you. Well, that's what most people were telling me, and I was believing it. I was starting to believe it. Oh, it's because you exhaust yourself. And then what happens is that then you don't want to do anything, for the next 2 or 3 days. And that's not true. That's like, I don't know, telling someone that, oh, you ran a mile, so tomorrow you're not going to want to do anything, a runner, professional runner. That's not true. What the professional runner knows is that they train themselves to learn how to run first, a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles, or whatever it is that they do. And I know runners that run, 4 or 5 miles a day, daily. I couldn't even conceive of doing that. I couldn't even probably walk 5 miles right now at the stage, my physical stage of my training. I'm being transparent. I don't think I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go run 5 miles. Of course not. But someone who trained themselves to do it can do it, and they do it, and they do it daily, and they do it at least 5 times a week, 5 days a week. So that's what I'm trying to talk to you about. If you tried everything and you're like, oh, it doesn't work. I always hear this from people. They're like, I tried this, I tried that. None of it works. It's not true. I do not believe. I am fully convinced of this because I didn't have the awareness. I had an idea of it, a conceptual idea, but I didn't have the experience, the awareness. The true awareness comes through experience. It doesn't come through a concept. It's not conceptual. Like I mentioned before, it's either passed down through a mentor or a family member that functions that way, I believe, or you learn it through pain. You have to go through an immense amount of pain and say, I don't want this anymore. I gotta go above this and beyond it because I want this success so much that I have to go above it. I don't believe that that happens. That what I was mentioning right now about you going and working really hard and then saying, oh, I got drained, and then I can't move forward. That's not true. It's just that you haven't trained yourself to work at that pace. You know how to do it. You can do it, but you haven't developed the discipline. I believe the discipline is a muscle. That's why very few people actually achieve their goals. Have you ever thought about that? I mean, many people say, oh, it's because I finally found the right thing. No, that's not true. You finally started doing X thing, whether it's an exercise course, a photography class, whatever it is, a marathon, whatever it was, or, you're like, oh, I finally found the right training course. It's not true. I don't believe that. Based on my experience, corny, crappy training course would have gotten you the results that you needed for that time had you had the discipline. And many times we go through life thinking that it's A, B, and C, that, oh, it's this, it's that. Oh, I can't move forward because, this has happened in my life. Or I can't move forward because, I don't know, I'm exhausted with all the things I have to do. We act like we're presidents, like we're running the freaking country, Oh, we're I don't know, I got to pick up the kid from school, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do that, and all this stuff that we pile up on ourselves. The reality is that we don't work hard enough to develop the discipline, not the work. We may have the work part right, where you can go and pull off 14-hour days, or you can pull off 15-hour days, or maybe you pull off a 14-hour day, but 8 of those 14 hours was you going and getting coffee, or going and getting lunch, or going and I don't know, moving around and not really working, but still with your mind at work and not really being productive and not really being disciplined to create, correct productivity that only comes through discipline. I believe that if you don't learn how to create that discipline, this is what I'm arriving at right now at this stage in my career and in my business. This is what I'm sharing with you. If you do not arrive at that discipline, just keep going, because you're going to have to. If you really want whatever it is that you want, you have to arrive at the discipline. Without discipline, ain't nothing going to happen. And you're going to go around and around and around and thinking it's something else. You're going to go and work really hard and ram to it. And whatever it is, whether you're a physical trainer or you're, whatever, You may be really good at physical training, but you may not want to have the discipline to call on clients. You may not have the discipline to maybe daily go in and distribute flyers. You may not have that discipline. This is what I'm getting to. Is I'm not talking about the work. The work, you may have the work right, but you may not have the discipline to pull it off 5-6 days a week. Or maybe as an entrepreneur, 7 days a week. You may not have it. And then you're thinking that it's something else. If you're a musician, you may have the discipline to play really great guitar. You're like, you're shredding and you're like, yeah. But you may not have the discipline to maybe put your mindset in the right place so that you can actually work with other musicians, or the discipline to distribute flyers for your next gig, or to go talk to the bar owners, or find a manager to help you, someone, a salesperson, that's probably a manager, to help you distribute your music and get you going and putting you on a tour, and you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the work ethic, because I believe that was it. You have the work ethic and you got it right. Well, you may have the work ethic right, but if you don't have the discipline, the work ethic, it's kind of, I'm going to say it's pretty much bullshit, because what good is it going to do to you if you can't be consistent with it, if you can't be persistent? If you have this fire that you can pull off, you have tremendous amount of fire, but if you can't pull it off tomorrow or the next day, this tremendous amount of fire is going to average for those 2-3 days. You see what I'm talking about? That is why the exercise courses, I don't know how many I bought or other people, I don't know, maybe you're watching and maybe you, and it's always that, oh, it doesn't work, or maybe you don't have maybe you have the awareness to say, well, I haven't done it, but still in the back of your mind it's like, well, because I have no time, that's really why I haven't done it, or I haven't done it because it's really hard with all the other stuff I'm doing. My body's really tired and I'm sore, and every excuse in the world ain't gonna make it happen. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about. I know I didn't want to wear you off. And for those of you who are still watching, and you're in a place similar to where I'm at, maybe in whether it's your career or it's your business or whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe you're not an artist. You're an interior designer. Or maybe you're not a creative. Maybe you're a lawyer. I don't know. The next stage to play with the big boys, to really, really play with the big boys, you need some training. That's what I believe. That's where I've come to realize. You may be really good to get out of a group of people that may not be doing anything. And if you get out of a group of people that are not doing anything, you're miles ahead, right? The problem is that you want to go further. You want to go to the big leagues. If you want to go to the big leagues, you have to show up before everyone and leave after everyone leaves, and still have the mental power, the training to be able to pull it off tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after. That's what separates the boys from the men. It's really that. I used to think that it was the fire, it's the fire, it's the hustle. See, that's what most people think. People are like, what gets you to your success? Oh, it's the hustle, man, it's the hustle. You gotta hustle. Bullshit. It's not the hustle alone. It's not true. I know it's a buzzword and everybody's using it and everybody's saying, oh, it's the hustle, it's the hustle. It's not the hustle alone. It's not the motivation either. You can be extremely motivated and lose your motivation tomorrow, or lose your motivation in an hour from now, or 5 minutes from now, or right now when you turn this off. You can completely lose your motivation. Motivation alone just gets you going, it gets you like excited. The hustle gives you that, you're like, yeah, I'm hustling, I'm moving. But do that, and then do it tomorrow, and then do it the next day, and then work on perfecting that. Not just doing it, but also perfecting it as it goes. And the only way it's going to perfect is if you train daily. That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to that. If you really want to go to the next stage, which I am prepared to go to the next stage in my business, in my career, as a person. It's really success is really, it's really that you're working on you. That's really what it comes down to. You're working on you. You're not working on a business. You're not working on the best shutter, or the, if you're a photographer, you're not really working on that. You're working on you. And if you really want to go to the next stage, you have to be able to harness and embrace discipline. Without it, ain't nothing gonna happen. I'll leave you with that. My name is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist. Thank you so much for watching.